90 miles in diameter.
That's big.
Yeah, because if you go out in space, you reach space within about 40 miles, and our satellites they orbit up there between 40 and 10,000 miles. The geosynchronous orbits are farther out, but most of the orbits are closer in. But the atmosphere doesn't go up all that far, and so there's scientists are wonder, and I get the question a lot that how come water doesn't drain down the hole? Well, the fact is that in a hollow planet you have two centers of gravity. One is the inner sun, and the other is in the shell of the planet. Okay, and so since most of the mass of the planet, 99.9% of the mass of the planet is in the shell of the planet, then gravity accelerates towards the shell of the planet from both outside and inside surfaces, and you don't get to the center of gravity in the shell until you go down about 400 or 500 or more miles down into the shell surface, at which point you reach a point where there is zero gravity. And this is actually recorded by William Morgan, who called himself I Am the Man in the book Edidorpa. There's a link on my website to that book. That after they had gone down in this cavern in Kentucky, he claimed that the center of gravity is about 700 miles down. And at that point, they floated in the air, like as if they were in outer space. But it was, there was air. There's air inside the shell.
Talk a little bit about Steve Curry, who was your former and beloved expedition leader. He was going to lead an expedition to the Hollow Earth, correct?
Correct, yes. Steve Curry contacted me in about 2003. We went up to visit him in Provo, Utah, where he lived. He, in about 1950, his father had organized the expedition company, the Curry Expedition Company, and they would take people on raft expeditions down rivers all around the world. And Steve, he took up the business after his father had retired, and he was doing an expedition down the Zompos Gorge in Tibet, which is the deepest canyon in the world. And one of their Tibetan guides told them when they discovered this hidden falls over there that their ancestors were visited by people that came up out of a cavern behind this falls from inside the earth, which they call a garta. And this, what they call the king of the world, the inner world, came up through this cavern and met with the Tibetan Lama. And their religion is pretty much based on this visit and what this inner earth person told them, that someday that they would emerge to help establish world peace. And he was interested in the hollow. Steve Curry was interested in the Hollow Earth because of what this Tibetan guide told him about Agartha and this cavern that they claim goes through the Agartha. His father had actually introduced him to the Hollow Earth theory when he formed this expedition company when he was just a young boy. But he didn't take much credence to the idea until this Tibetan guide had told him his story about the king of the world, inner world, coming out through this cavern. So he got on the internet and he was looking for any information on the Hollow Earth. When he came to my website, he contacted me. He suggested that we organize an expedition to go to the Hollow Earth. I says, well, that would be wonderful. We went up to visit him and his wife up in Provo, Utah. We set up websites. He contacted the Russian nuclear ship called the Yamal is taking tourists to the pole every year at that time, and we put together an expedition plan to go to the North Pole opening in this Russian nuclear icebreaker. And he came in April of 2006. He came back from doing some business in South America where he had some property, and he went to the doctor, found out he had cancer, six brain tumors. They claimed it was inoperable, and I tried to get him to take some of the herbs that I had used to help me get over a cancer infection in my thyroid. But yeah, I couldn't get him to take it, and he died a couple of months later.
I'm so sorry.
We had planned to do an overflight just that summer, and we were planning to follow up with the ship expedition by ship the next year. And we had actually sold seats on the Yamal to about 40 people that had bought seats for about $20,000 to $25,000 to go on this expedition. And so we were just all devastated when he died, because he told me that he had arranged with his father-in-law to carry on and do the expedition after he passed away, but after he passed away, they didn't want to do it. They returned everybody's money and canceled the expedition.
Wow.
We did get together, and one of the people that was wanting to go on the expedition was a physicist, Dr. Brooks Agnew. He offered to take over as expedition leader, and we voted him. I had the ones that were expedition members that I knew about. We all voted him as our new expedition leader. And so, it hasn't come off. The expedition hasn't come off because I think mainly because Dr. Agnew had decided with his lawyers that to finance the expedition, he should only finance it with donations. And then with the recent economic crash, people just don't have much money to donate.
I think also he's bringing the electric car or electric trucks into being, and he's involved in that venture. And I know a few years ago they really had it set to go. I think it was in August, and there wasn't enough funds. But I think also it's been kind of packaged as an educational entertainment venue with all these different aspects to it.
Well, and also he's a scientist, and he doesn't want to just take a bunch of tourists up there like Steve Curry was doing. He was just selling tickets to anybody that wanted to go. Dr. Agnew, he wants to take scientists and film crews and take a movie film of what they discover, bring back scientific data that will prove that the Earth is hollow, that there does have polar openings.
What makes you think, for example, that at this point, given that the military has been involved the last time somebody flew toward the polar openings, and I believe and I accept that it was because the person in that particular airplane was representing the media and calls had been made about that, so it was interrupted and it was intercepted. But what makes you think at this point, Brooke Agnew's, management of this, that he could do better than anybody else has done?
Actually, I believe it'd be better for people to go on their own, because they might have, we might get some opposition, like we have, like Billy was turned back at the pole. But I do think that Billy would have made it there if he hadn't have been turned in by his co-expedition member. But what I'm suggesting in my ebook that I sell on my website, hollowearth.com,